10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Readings with Evangelist Linda Coleman. Let's allow her to take us on a spiritual journey with these amazing books that she has found. So take a deep breath, grab a healthy snack, and let's relax and listen in.
Hello, everybody. This is Evangelist Linda Coleman, one of your favorite evangelists. And I tell you, I hope all is well with you because all is well over here. Well, we made it through Francine. Hallelujah, Jesus. And wasn't too much damage. Just a lot of water, and a few of our people did get some things flooded out. But God had showed us favor, and I thank for that so much. I'm so glad to be back on the air with you guys. We are still reading room 2271, and today we are in chapter 9, which is entitled 2271, right behind the book. So this is the meat of it. I tell you, I've been reading this, you guys, and I have to say hats off to my friend, Sister Turner. She will be with us next. When I finish reading this chapter, we will be setting up a Zoom to talk with her, for her to share some of these experiences with us, to let us know how she's feeling and everything, and what encouraging words she would give to all of our listeners and out there to help them deal with the situation that they may be dealing with at this time, or maybe they've dealt with it in the past and don't know how to move on. So here we go. Stick with me. You're going to really enjoy chapter 9, room 2271. Remember, Dwayne is sick off and on. He's been doing all kinds of things to hurt her. Even in the midst of his sickness, she's standing by his side. She's taking care of him. Oh my God. From head to toe, whatever he needs, she's trying her best to do it. Now he's not working at all, so she's supporting the family like 100,000% along with God by her side. And I just, again, hats off to you, my sister. So now we're here in room 2271. She says, I went to work one day, and Dwayne, he called me to take him to the hospital. Y'all remember, he don't like going to the hospital. Him don't like going to the doctor. But this time, he called her, told her to come and get him. And we're all fully aware that now he has been diagnosed with cancer stage 4. So he's lost a lot of weight and a lot of changes he's taken her through and the family through, the things he still want to do and just can't do. Okay? But she said, I left work so fast and got home. He wanted to take a bath before he went. I had never bathed him in this manner before. He was a skeleton of himself. I held back my tears. He was so weak and frail that he broke the soap dish trying to get out of the tub. I called for an ambulance immediately after I put his clothes on. I don't think he had ever been in an ambulance before. When they arrived, he wanted to go to the MD Anderson this time. I made an executive decision that MD Anderson would be the hospital that could stop this cancer from spreading anywhere else. They are the best and have a sign that has a red line drawn through the word cancer. So I was hopeful. The paramedics were on some other type of stupid, though. They wanted to take us to the nearest hospital. However, I said, no, we want to go to MD Anderson. They made reference to the type of neighborhood we were in, so I guess they were trying to say we did not deserve to go to MD Anderson. I don't have any idea. They had to work on my husband, so I just simply closed my mouth. If you don't know by now, my mouth can get pretty fly. This was just not the right time to do it, and I'm glad she's thinking. Many times we talk out of term and at the wrong time. Well, take this chariot to the hospital and take it there fast. We get there and they were so confused, thinking we had been there before. No, this is our first time. They could not dwell on all the small things because they had a sick man who needed their help immediately. They get him to a room and immediately start him on fluids because he was severely dehydrated. They start lab work, they checked his vital signs, blood pressure, and of course his temperature. We stayed in the ER for a couple of hours. I kept his family abreast of everything that was going on with him. I would text or call them with any changes, updates, or improvements on his conditions. Finally, he was admitted. His room number was room 2271. This was October the 25th, 2017. His visit was from a pain management specialist. She was a physician's assistant named Dr. Anisha. The oncologist was Dr. Aparico. I researched this doctor and found out he was one of the best in the country. They still wanted to run more tests. And here are a few of them. Well, we'll just go through some of them. An MRI of the brain and spine, a CT scan, a colonoscopy, ultrasound, a biopsy of the right kidney, and so many other tests that I don't even remember them all. These tests were all done within the first days that he was admitted. My theory was that they wanted to equip us with the most accurate diagnosis and a cure with it. That's what I'm hoping for. The colonoscopy was done first, and I was happy to get this one procedure over and done with. The smell of feces was coming out of his mouth and through his skin. His cousin had passed away from stomach cancer, and that was the very last thing that happened to him. His fetus matter came from his stomach out of his mouth. In the recovery, he was so disoriented that he kept asking for the keys to the Jeep. He even sang the song from Miss Elliott's Who Got the Keys to the Jeep. Lord, I hollered. He was right. We did have a Jeep, but I don't have the keys. That was so funny. He got serious and said I was being silly and that he would call security on me. You know, in the movie with Chris Rock, security. Well, I still had a portion of our conversation on video. It was comical and broke my heart at the same time. His voice had been deep and muffled for a few days prior to that. I was glad to hear his voice coming back to normal. Little hopefulness there. After the third day of being in the hospital, the doctor had a name for this monster. I called the family to come to the hospital so they could listen to what the doctor had to say. Her first words were, why we didn't come in sooner. What? My mind started racing back to the time he only wanted to treat his blood pressure. That was 3 years earlier. I knew then taking blood pressure medicine for an extended amount of time has its consequences. He was passing out at stoplights and had spots on his leg. It was all related to his cancer. Well, Dr. Aparico said his type of cancer was called clear cell renal carcinoma. Now, I'm going to spell that for you. Carcinoma. Carcinoma, I would say. And it had metabolized. This means that the cancer had spread to all of the other parts of his body and was causing him other issues. She said this cancer was so aggressive that chemotherapy and radiation would not help him. See, that's what happens when you don't go to the doctor. Let the doctor check you out for things that be going on before it get too bad. They still wanted to do a few more tests and procedures on him. The doctor left us alone for a while, and I could not hear anything but my heart beating. The room had total silence. Here comes reality. This visit from the doctor was to let us know what we were up against. It was the hardest pill I had ever had to swallow. I was still believing God, though, for a miracle. I never stopped praying for peace, but I also was asking God to help me through this process. Lord, I need you right now. I knew it would be hard. I had never cried so much in my life. The doctor was speaking to us as if she had never seen a case like his before. His pain was always bad and at the top of the charts. They had to resort to giving the highest dose of pain medicine, morphine. The pain medicine was on an as needed basis. The problem was he needed it all day long. Well, he had a lot of visitors, and I never left his side except a few times to check on the girls and to take care of some personal business. He would interact with all his visitors, his aunts and uncles and cousins and mom, dad, sisters, brothers, nieces, and friends. He started losing oxygen to where he was grasping for air. I really don't think anyone noticed, but I did. All these circumstances was draining him. He was so tired and drained physically and especially emotionally. He wanted to leave and go with everybody. He wanted to go home. He did not want to be in that hospital. He cried every time someone came to visit and when they left. His uncle called and asked if he could visit, but I asked him if he could just wait a day, give him a little chance to regroup. That did not go well with his family, though. His mama thought I should not restrict anyone from seeing him. I was not trying to put any restrictions on his family. I was simply doing what I thought was best for him. He needed to rest, and he was not sleeping well at all. He was up all times of the night regularly. Now, mom is at home when it's time to rest. She come to visit. But you know how family is when people get sick. Oh, Lord, they can get a little crazy. I think he needed to rest, too. She just asked for one day. Well, two of my friends came to support me. One who worked nearby, and the other was my best friend. I guess I was talking to them a little too long, though, in the room, and he asked me to make them leave. Okay, wait a minute. You don't want the family to come, but you got people over there. And I'm sure that's irritating to him to hear them cackling about what happened at work and what Gene and all them did, but the family can't come. I understand. But she says, I did not understand. His mother and his sister were sitting in the room, and I introduced them all. I guess he just wanted his family there, and I can see that. You're sick. You want the family there. I thought it was pretty selfish of him, though, but I took our conversation outside. They asked me if anything was wrong, and I said no. I guess they saw the look on my face. I have issues hiding my emotions, and sometimes they show up on my face without me even thinking about it. I needed my friends just as much as he needed his family. Remember, she don't have any support, only her friends. Well, they were there to support me and therefore supporting him as well. Well, the next couple of days was a rush of family visits. He laughed, joked, and talked about old memories. He was using every bit of his energy to communicate with them. The nurses noticed so much traffic and visit after visit, they suggested that a sign be put on the door to say, "See the nurse before entering." To be honest, that took a lot of pressure off of me, not having to have to say anything about all this traffic coming through. Well, he had procedure after procedure and test after test. He needed to be sedated. His family was furious, especially his mom. So I had to listen, just please take the sign down. Keep some peace around here. I thought I was doing my very best for him, but I guess no one understood. I was with him 24 hours a day, all day long. No one else saw anything that we went through. He was asking me to call his dad at 3 o'clock in the morning. He wanted to drink or eat things he couldn't have because it would alter the results of the test. He also had a panic attack, saying he could not breathe. He started pulling my clothes almost off of my body. He kept saying, "I can't breathe." Now he worried about not breathing. Now I felt like I was in a horror movie. I was so scared. My heart was beating as fast as his heart was. His vital signs were all escalated. All of the monitors were in panic mode. Boy, that must have been crazy in there, y'all. It seemed like it took forever for anyone to come into the room. I did the only thing I knew to do in a time like this. I started screaming, "Come in the room, God, come in the room." I said that it seemed almost at about 20 times. I can imagine when you're in stuff like that. You're talking about a movie scene, that had to be one. Finally, a nurse came in with a look on her face like, "It won't be long now." I'm a people watcher, so I watched her from the time she came in until she left. She had seen this before. She put some oxygen on his face and he started to settle down. He was losing oxygen. I was hands on with him all the way, especially during the pain. I needed I needed to know everything that was going on with him, and I did. I remember his dad saying on a visit with the doctor that there was no communication. What? That hurt my feelings so bad. I went out of my way to keep them abreast of every single detail when it came to his care. I had to understand that they were not getting the communication they wanted to hear. A different sound. His mom, sister, and dad came to visit. He was able to walk to the couch where his mom was sitting, and they started talking. He put his arm around his mom. I was sitting directly across from him. I started noticing his face dropping, and his speech was slurred. I did not want to alarm his mom, his sister, dad, or him, so I excused myself and went to a nurse. I told her I thought he was having a stroke. She checked him and it was confirmed. He had a stroke walking from the bed to the couch just that quickly. We all had a meeting with the doctor again, and this time, this family briefing was even worse than the other meeting. The doctor stated that after looking at all the tests and staying up some nights trying to figure out if she had missed anything in his diagnosis, she said the The cancer is very rare and it is aggressive. And we should set him up in a facility. It's time for hospice care. She mentioned that MRI showed that he had many TIAs, meaning many strokes, not streaks. He had a lot of many strokes. Okay, so many strokes. I thought I started thinking back to all the many strokes he had. The leg dragging, passing out at the spotlight, at the stoplights, passing out and in the store. Those were all little mini strokes. The red spots on his legs was a sign of low potassium count. He donated plasma for years and his count was very low until he had to get blood transfusions. 3 of them. Oh my God, 3 blood transfusions. I was scared of what my husband was doing to his body. I was afraid that what he had already done to his body was affecting him now. He basically was self-destructing. I'm going to stop there for a second. Think about it. Are you self-destructing yourself, not sleeping well, worrying about things that you have no control over, going through changes like that? Are you smoking and sucking on the neck? Are you just a sign on the side that says so many ways that we can destruct our body? Are you eating unhealthy? You know that's not good for you. Maybe a fried chicken every day. Your system up some fruit, some apple, and all the opposite. Think about it. Treat him and his bills were all way over 200, but I didn't have to. His family did it for me. Throwing him away. He even uttered a few words. I can imagine, huh? I was doing everything the nurses and the PCA doing. Them, check it out, y'all. My wives. You've been sleeping with all your life. They're not there to take care of you now. Yeah, here come my girl. She said, I mercy. But she said, I didn't mind because I said in sickness and in health. He needed a cancer put in and he hated it, but he knew it was necessary. I was not looking for any praises, a pat on the back, so girl, you are wonderful. With the phone number, and it was from the nurse's station. I went to the restroom and cried like a baby. I was a big crybaby, I know that. It was just nice for them to acknowledge that. Sometimes the smallest gestures really warms a person's heart. Everything was going downhill. Everything was going down. After the stroke, he had a terrible time eating or swallowing anything. Before the stroke, he could eat soft foods and liquids, but he lost some use of his left side. The hospital's staff felt sorry for us in a sense. They knew it was nothing else they could do, but they still sent a physical therapist, a speech pathologist, and a dietitian to see and work with him. He had some progress, though. He started to move his left leg, and I was cheering him on with every accomplishment he made. I had to hold his personal items while he went to get a procedure done. I was holding his wallet and his phone. I had gotten his password earlier in the week, to get something from his phone. Dun, 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 dun. While he was getting the procedure done, y'all know what I did? Yes, I did. I had all access for the first time in 20 years. So you know what they say. You go looking, you gonna find. I looked at text messages from as far back as I needed for my own clarification. I found out he was talking to undercover seller. Y'all remember her in the previous chapters. He was texting his son's mom while we were at LBJ's hospital. He was telling her that I was right there and I would not leave his side. So he could not talk to her the way he wanted to. What? What? I found more single websites he visited saying he was single and looking for a woman. Girl, a man is in the hospital. Oh, Lord, girl, Sister Turner, Jesus, my heart goes out to you, girl. She said, I found pictures of him that he sent to other women. I found pictures of men offering special favors for drugs. I found a woman who texted him about their sexual event in June or July when he was just starting to get sick. She said, so as it turned out, she had him last, not me. Does it really matter? Okay. When I wanted him, he was always tired. Remember, their sexual life had come to like a screeching out. I knew all of this while he was still coherent, talking, and able to communicate. But I said nothing. I still loved on him like nothing was wrong. I didn't even raise my eyes in disgust of him. That may be strange for some, but I felt God's will approaching, and I could not let him know of any more damage he had done to me. I got to go back and read that again for those of you that's in this situation. She said, I didn't even raise my eye in disgust of him. That may be strange for some, but I felt God's will approaching, and I could not let him know of any more damage that he had done to me. I wanted to whisper in his ears many times that I knew, but I didn't. Y'all know that old saying, if you're looking for something, you will find it. Well, I found too much. His condition continued to deteriorate. I was up all night with him. He would sling his right leg out of the bed, and I would get up and place his leg right back under the covers. We did this routine about 20 times or more. I lost count. It may have been that he had a sensation in his leg to get up and walk. I did not have a clue. For me, getting up all night long, caring for him, and the nurses checking vital signs, and him getting procedures done, you guys, I was exhausted. The doctor ran one more test and found that now he has pneumonia. They ordered a suction mechanism so the mucus could be suctioned out of his mouth into a tube. What was coming out of the tube was horrifying. The camphor liquid was very dark and black looking. Something came over me. I asked the family to come and sit with him for a while I went to check on my girls. The girls was fighting like somebody stole both of their food stamp cards. I mean, the baby girl was choking the oldest girl until she almost passed out. And they were calling me to referee, and I was sent. I thought the information I found did not affect me, but as it turned out, it did. I knew this was not the right time for me to break down, but I needed to leave this environment. I needed to go anywhere but at that hospital, and seemed like even with her kids. I took all of my things with me and left all his things. My friends and their daughter came and to get me. They came to the room. She called his name, and he opened his eyes to see her. He had not responded to anyone calling his name in a while, since he had been so sedated. The morphine and pneumonia had taken a toll on him, and he slept most of the day. I think I left before his family arrived. I was so relieved to get away from that hospital chaos. I left around 2 p.m. I got in the car and broke completely down. I was emotionally drained, physically drained, mentally hurt, sad, and broken. Did you hear me? I was emotionally drained, physically tired, mentally hurt, sad, and broken. My friends and her daughter dropped me off at my sister's house and I tried to rest. Does anyone just want to lay on their mom's lap sometimes and cry? I had several moments like that. My brother-in-law called me and told me to hurry back to the hospital and to bring the girls. I was already thinking I could not stay away very long. I did not like leaving him anyway. He was my husband no matter what. I get back to the hospital and he is gasping for air. Everybody is crying, and some are asking God to give him one more chance. The entire room was watching him take his last breath. My baby girls were at his side. The baby girl was crying, "Daddy, please come back," over and over again. Our older daughter just sobbed out of control. Somebody was either praying or crying. No hospital staff was in the room at this time. I guess they knew what was going on. I tried a few times to suction the mucus out of his mouth. It seemed to work, but more mucus came, and I think it made it worse. His lungs was full of infection, and his body was not strong enough to continue fighting. My older daughter of my four children tried tearing my baby girl away from her dad. She was immediately stopped in her tracks. Please allow her to do whatever she needed to do to say goodbye to her dad. The room started spinning, so I had to sit down. I did not want to faint and have everyone focus on me. At that moment, it was not about me. We all watched him take his last struggling breath. He took about 5 long breaths, and that was all over with. The monitor was on, and I never would have thought I would see a long straight line, no response, no activity. He died at 8:40 p.m., 2 hours after I came back to the hospital on November the 4th, 2017. I just knew everyone could hear all of us screaming from down the hall and all over the hospital. The hospital came in and had to pronounce him deceased and gave the time of death. We were asked to leave the room, and after a while, so they could clean up and prepare him to be viewed. Other family members were called to the hospital after he passed away. His son and his nieces all came in to see him. After they cleaned him up, I went back in, walked up to his bedside, and gently cleaned some mucus that was coming from his eyes. As a child, I was so afraid of dead bodies because my daddy had church in the funeral homes. He had us to remove the flowers and sprays away from the casket once the viewing was over. I thought it was so cruel to make a child do this. I was not afraid this time, though. I touched him and he was still warm, but my boo was now gone. It's like I had an out of body experience. I tried to console my girls as best as I could. I held them as tight as I could. But what do you say? What do you do? Their father was no longer with us. They were only 17 and 12 and 20 years old, not 12. They were only 17 and 20 years old. I tried the hardest tears for them. I cried the hardest tears for them. I hated to see them in so much pain. I would be fine, but I was worried about my daughters. This is where my prayers were being answered. I had been asking for peace, and he gave it to me. I was at peace with his decision and with his will for my husband. Then everything started moving so fast. They allowed us a couple of hours to grieve, and then we need to take care of business. First, they need to know if we wanted an autopsy. I opted not to get an autopsy as I knew he died from natural causes. But his brother wanted an autopsy done. He said he would pay for it. I was given the hospital chaplain's information and administration staff to contact them regarding who would be picking up his body to prepare for the funeral. My God, can I just get a minute? My God, can I just get a minute? You have to beware of how you treat people in life. We know cancer is definitely around, but look at the pain that Brother Dwayne had to go through before he left this world. And look at the pain that he put Sister Turner through before he left this world, while he was in this world. And even when he was on his sick bed, he was still doing things to break her heart. There's more to be read, and we're going to come back with part 2 of chapter 9 and the finishing chapter of Room 2271. I hope that you got something out of today's reading. You know, I really felt sorry for the family, and my heart just really still goes out to Sister Turner on her dealing with her husband. But you know, when you love somebody, you really love them, and you try your best when you love your family to keep your family together. And that's exactly what Sister Turner did. She hung in there with her family. She hung in there with her husband. She asked God to give her peace. And that's exactly what God has given her, peace from this situation. Let's see what the ending really, or the new beginning, is going to be like. Please don't miss the next reading from Evangelist Linda Coleman of Room 2271. I thank you for being so patient with us, because we were having some technical difficulties for a while there, and then the storm came along and helped us up. But I think this last portion should be able, life after death is what it's called. We should be able to handle that in the next reading, and then we would definitely have us a one-on-one Zoom with our sister Joycelyn Brett Turner. Okay, you guys, until I talk to you next time, remember what I always tell you: I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what the enemy throw at you. You got to know who you are and whose you are. Keep your head up high and say it loud that all is well.